have you sent any demand letters out to anybody other than Diddy saying, here's what you've done, we want to settle with you, or we're going to file a lawsuit? Have you sent any to, say, other celebrities beyond Diddy?
We have.
And then there's also this allegation that someone had apparently called Jay-Z's lawyers and accused Tony Busby's firm of dropping her as a client because she felt forced to lie about her sexual assault experience.
Is Jay-Z actually innocent after all? So this is the question that has been lingering in the mind, especially after some of the news that came out in the last 24 hours. On one hand, he has fiercely denied these allegations, calling them idiotic and hideous. On the other hand, he's a part of an industry where power shields the guilty and complicity often flies under the radar. So you already have Diddy in the mix, a man that at this point I think should be in jail, but you got a headlining grabbing mess. So this story is talking about the two biggest hip hop names tangled in this web of apparently inconsistency in testimony when it comes to some of these victims, questionable motives, and this attorney, Tony Busby. So let's dive into this chaos and we can figure out whether Jay-Z is truly innocent or if the cracks in this narrative are just the tip of the iceberg. So the bombshell news that came out a couple weeks ago that a 13-year-old was sexually abused by Jay-Z and Diddy, throwing Jay-Z into the Diddy pile with the baby oil and all that type of thing. When the headline came out that Jay-Z may have been allegedly a part of this, it seemed like it was just a matter of time. People kept talking for a very long time that Jay-Z is a part of this situation, that Jay-Z is next. Jay-Z is going to be the one that falls with Diddy.
Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice.
And it's unfortunate, man, because for me, from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised, Jay-Z representing Brooklyn, it's disappointing that a lot of these accusations are being thrown around his way. And recently, the victim story has been coming to surface and there's apparently a web of contradictions. So the accuser now is a 38-year-old mother from Alabama, recently came forward with allegations that she's been carrying over 2 decades. She claims that when she was 13 years old, Diddy's limo driver brought her to an after party where he and Jay-Z sexually assaulted her.
She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, it's like feeling like you shatterproof drywall ball.
She says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
That is extreme, bold accusation aimed at the two most powerful men in the entertainment industry. At this point, Diddy has so many potential victims, ages ranging from child to an adult. When it comes to Diddy, it's a pattern of predatory behavior. But now Jay-Z is in the mix. And there's some people in the industry that has said some things about Jay-Z over the last couple of years. They believe that him and Diddy are part of the same thing.
It's emboldening me. I spoke on Piers Morgan. I said that I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward.
Audition. Yes, but before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
And you had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Fun to Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
Yeah. So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, you did it homework.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing. Yeah.
But the problem is with this victim that the timeline is messy. The victim says that she was driven from Rochester to Manhattan by their friend, but the friend can't corroborate this because the friend now is deceased. She then claims that she chatted with Benji Madden about a religious tattoo at the party. The problem is Benji's Madden team shut that down extremely fast, confirming that he was on a tour in the Midwest at that time.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time.
Then it's her father, who supposedly picked her up from a gas station after this alleged assault. His reaction is he's confused. He told NBC News he doesn't remember any of this happening. And look, memory can be a tricky thing, especially over 20 years. But you'll think a drive from New York to Alabama after your daughter called you in distress would leave an impression on your mind.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind, he said.
Now, the victim also talked about living with autism, describing it as being trapped in a shadow-proof ball that separates her from the world. Combine that with a head injury, she says, that happened that night, and then you have more complexity. These factors might explain some of the inconsistencies in her story, but they also make the case harder to untangle, especially her own father having some issues with the story. Don't remember driving from New York to Alabama when your daughter is calling you saying that she's been sexually assaulted. It doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion. So despite all this, her lawyer, Tony Busby, says that she's ready to take a polygraph test to back up her claims. That is dedication. But polygraphs aren't exactly ironclad evidence. You can't take a polygraph test necessary to a criminal case, but this isn't a criminal case. This is a civil matter. But let's talk about Tony Busby. So Tony Busby is no stranger to high profile cases. He is the kind of lawyer that thrives in the spotlight, the courtroom equivalent to a rock star with the flair of the dramatic. But his reputation is far from spotless. In fact, Busby himself has been accused of shady tactics that could undermine the credibility of the very cases that he is championing. One of the most damaging allegations against Busby is that he used the threat of fabricated claims to extort money from wealthy clients. A celebrity, whose identity remains anonymous, filed a lawsuit claiming that Busby's team tried to coerce a settlement by dangling false accusations of sexual assault over their head. If that's true, it's not just unethical, it's nuclear level bad for someone who's supposed to be advocating for the victims. Does he care about the victims or more about himself and the amount of money he will receive from these settlements? Of course, Busby denies these claims, saying it's all a part of an effort to discredit him.
A male celebrity who remains anonymous is suing the Houston attorney who's representing several people in lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. The lawsuit accuses Tony Busby and his firm of shamelessly attempting to extort exorbitant sums from him or else publicly file wildly false, horrific allegations against him.
But the shadow of extortion allegations lingers, and now is a cloud that the defense teams for Diddy and Jay-Z can exploit. So Busby's latest waves of cases is not just about Diddy. He's representing alleged victims targeting other big names in the entertainment industry, including Jay-Z. According to Busby, some of these cases have already ended in settlements.
Because it's in the best interest of the victim, we attempt to resolve these matters without the filing of a public lawsuit. And we have done that already. We've done that, I would say, with a handful of individuals, many of which you've heard of before.
That's a juicy detail, but the problem is it raises more questions than answers. Who's settling and why? Busby hasn't named names, but he's made it clear that some celebrities are cutting checks rather than facing the accusations in court. For the victims, this could be a victory, a way to get some kind of justice without the trauma of a trial. But for skeptics, it looks like an easy out for the rich and famous, allowing them to escape scrutiny without admitting guilt. Over 120 alleged victims have come forward through a hotline Busby set up for cases against Diddy. That's a staggering amount of people. If even half of these claims hold water, it paints a picture of systemic abuse that has been ignored for far too long. But the sheer volume of cases also opens the door for scrutiny. How many of these accusations are true, are solid, and how many might crumble under closer examination? So Busby's legal theatrics might grab headlines, but they also feed into a dangerous and a damaging cycle. Messy cases like this doesn't just hurt the people directly involved, but they hurt every victim trying to come forward with their own story, a true story. When the lines between advocacy and opportunism blur, public trust in the justice system takes a nosedive. So think about it. Every time Busby is accused of extorting someone or sensationalism, it gives skeptics more ammunition to doubt some of these sexual assault victims as a whole. For the victims who are already battling so many things, that is just another hurdle to overcome. So where does Diddy and Jay-Z fit in all of this? For Diddy, the allegations keep piling up. We've seen a pattern of behavior. We've seen videos of some of the things he's been doing, and him being investigated by the feds suggests that there's something to these things. So he's not just fighting a PR battle. He's fighting for his freedom. And I believe most likely he's going to probably stay in jail for a very, very long time. Jay-Z's situation is different. The evidence against him is at this point a civil matter. Is he talking to the feds? Did he drop some names? His legal team seems to be laser focused on shutting this situation down really fast. Jay-Z's response to these allegations is the legal equivalent of throwing down a gauntlet and saying, "Come at me." After Accuser came out and admitted that there were some inconsistencies in her story, basically waving a giant red flag for the defense, Jay-Z didn't miss a beat. His response? True justice is coming. That is a heavy denial. And a lot of celebrities that have been accused of things have the heavy denial saying, I didn't do it. Then eventually it winds up that they may actually did it. His lawyer, Alex Spiro, came out swinging too, calling this case a frivolous money grab and asking the court to kick it to the curb. They're not playing around with these inconsistencies either. According to Jay-Z's legal team, the accuser's story has too many plot holes, and they believe that they have the power to shut it down. It's a bold move, but it's the kind of move you expect from a guy who spent his entire career proving that he's 10 steps ahead of everyone else. And Jay-Z is not just claiming innocence, he's framing this as he's already won in the court process as just a formality to remind everyone of that. So love him or hate him, Jay-Z's response isn't just clearing his name, he is trying to turn this narrative on its head. And let's see if that actually happens. But here's the thing, even if Jay-Z didn't commit this specific crime, it's hard to believe that he didn't know something. Diddy's alleged behavior wasn't just something that happened in a vacuum. Jay-Z, as a major player in these same circles, likely heard or saw some things. The question is, he stayed silent, and if so, why? And you could ask that question to many powerful people that knew Diddy, that went to these parties and went to those after parties as well. So time will tell all this. Tony Busby's role in these cases is polarizing as it can get. For some, he's a champion for the underdog, taking on powerful figures who evaded accountability for too long. But for others, he's a headline-chasing opportunist whose actions threaten to overshadow the stories of real victims. As for Jay-Z and Diddy, the court of public opinion is already in session. The feds are already on Diddy, but the real answers will come out with time. One thing's for sure, cases like this are messy and is a powerful reminder of how powerful protects itself and how hard is it for victims to get justice. Until we know more, all we can do is keep asking the tough questions and hold those in power accountable. But what do you guys think about this situation? Do you think that this situation actually happened? Do you believe that Jay-Z is guilty of this crime? Or do you believe maybe this wasn't a real thing? Maybe Jay-Z didn't do this, but he's definitely guilty of some other stuff. Do you think more people will come forward with their stories against Jay-Z? Let me know, put in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video.